beside him at the right time, and I think it was coming to the white there. I got off turn four really, really good, and I actually got to him quicker than I thought. So when I got right there to his left rear, the air or whatever pushed him right into the wall, and then we made contact and it was over. But it was certainly it was one of the more exciting battles I had, coming down to any of the finishes.
We get conversations about scoring pylons this weekend right Talladega.
Well, I mean, listen, they're so important. They put them on TV for you. So, no, it's important. I mean, if you look at there, I don't know. That's what we see. You don't have any idea where we qualified if you're 11 fan or 42 fan or someone like that. So, I think it's important for sure. I did talk to Chip, and he says, that they did think it through, but they figured that swarm pylons only service those in the infield. It doesn't service those that are on the stands. I don't know about that, but it's and so certainly we know it's important to the race fan because it's they put it on TV for you for the millions that do watch at home. So you want to be able to see where your driver's at, and I think that's why it's important. And not only that, it's just that's what a racetrack is. I think you're taking those down. It's just not as good. Every time I go through a tunnel, and it might be just me, first thing I do is look at the scoring pylon to see, who's where and what. So it's I don't know, maybe more of a sentimental thing from a purist like myself, but every track has its own ideas, and we've just seen it over time. I think it started with Bristol taking some out, and then it was Watkins Glen I noticed, and then obviously last week, and then now this week. So hopefully it's not a trend.
Could you put laps on your digital dash, and would you feel like
It's
you'd
not
have to?
for us. I mean, it should be for the folks, in the infield, and I think that's what their justification is. Which it's the reasoning is that it's just for the people in the infield. It's not for anyone at home or anyone in the stands. I think what created so many exciting times during qualifying was when the number would pop up on the scoring pylon, P1 for Dale Jr., whoever it was. That was what created that's what people are looking at, and so now it's just a little different. So it's I don't know. They'll reevaluate. I think if they think it needs to come back.
During the race or any other sessions, do you catch yourself peeking at the pylon?
All the time. Yeah, it's important for us personally, kind of know where certain guys are, certain times, and certain laps. So it's important to us. But again, the team could let us know if it's super important. They have their own scoring pylon in our own time in scoring because you want to know all the time where each person is at, and not have to wait that 2 minutes for a scroll.
And especially for a track like here, does that help with like drafting partners?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I know on restarts when I think about super speedways, I always kind of look to see the odds and evens to see who am I going to line up. When I go to choose lanes, which guy am I going to pick in front of, and then who's behind them? Because you look for pushers in that second, third, fourth row.
What's been the key today with overcast, a little breezy, by yourself? It's going to be different in the race, obviously, with cars around you, but trying to spin one good.
Yeah, it's just so different today because obviously these conditions are a little bit more overcast than what we were last time, so the speeds are a little bit slower. Obviously with the air being a little bit more dense, so the car's so different as well. They put adjustments in these cars to qualify for one lap that make them ride really, really bad, and then we back that out for the race. So you really, as a driver, I can't tell anything today for what we'll have tomorrow.
And it seems like the history, of this race, obviously you want to qualify as high as you can, but it's not critical to the finish.
It's not. I mean, Daytona, we were, I think, P last, somewhere in that neighborhood, and we drove right to the front. So it's just it doesn't worry me whether we're going to be 15th or 35th. It's not too concerning.
With the dominance of the two teams so far, do you see that continuing, or
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I do.
Why have y'all had such an edge over everybody else and competitive?
I don't know. I mean, you can kind of draw your own conclusions there, but there's only a few differences between all these teams, right? The cars are technically the same. So you've got a great crew chief, great spotter, great engineers, pit crew. That all makes a difference, right? And if you step on pit lane multiple times and your crew just keeps doing a good job moving you forward, you're going to find yourself up front. So it's it's heavily on my shoulders to perform every week because I know I've got a team that's capable of winning every week.
What, is that why you see it continuing? When you say, I think this is going to
Yeah.
stay this way, it's not going to.
Yeah, teams just can't make in-year adjustments like they used to be able to. What you got is what you got. I know when we were stuck with a body that was, not optimal for certain types of racetracks, we just knew that's what we had for the rest of the year, and so you're kind of locked into what you lock into before the year starts.
Seen anything that would make you think it's closer?
I have not. No, I mean, there's still the four key elements that I haven't seen NASCAR brought up in what our ask has been. They haven't addressed those or haven't conceded to any of those. So I think that it's positive messaging more than it's actually real.
Take us through those four key elements, please.
I got to let the TNC get into that, but it's been the same four for a year and a half. They'll tell you exactly what it is.
Denny, go ahead.
How aggressive, Denny, will we see fuel saving tomorrow compared to what we saw in the Daytona 500?
For the fans' sake, I hope it's not a lot, but it probably will have some. Just simply because that's the nature of the game. You just want to have the shortest pit stop possible because it is such a track position race. The days of Dale Earnhardt going from wherever to the front, it just isn't possible with the way that we draft in these next gen cars. So it's all about track position. So we're just doing everything we can to have that pit stop as short as possible. And we found that not running 100% through the entire race helps us do that. So not till that last pit stop will you see us kind of going all out.
What is the evolution of William Byron that you've seen since coming in as a rookie to where he is now?
Yeah, I mean, I thought for the first couple of years, I think me and probably most others were expecting a little more. I thought that he would come in and just run really good right away, but it just took a couple of years for him to kind of get it and click. And it's almost kind of like a Chase Elliott and the same kind of thing where they showed flashes of being good, but it wasn't consistent by any means. And then all of a sudden, that third, fourth year, it just started clicking, and they started being consistent, and then running up front and winning races that sometimes they shouldn't win, and then sometimes they dominate races and they win. So it's just an evolution that it just takes some guys a little bit longer. But we all saw flashes from William. We all saw flashes from Chase in their first couple of years that you knew that they were plenty capable. How long was it going to take for it all to click?
Is it a coincidence that he's had so much success with the next gen car? I mean, is there a correlation between the car and his success, or is it just evolution and this is just the car that he's in?
I mean, the driver crew chief relationship is so important in our series, and I think that's just something with him and Rudy that seemed to click. That to me was kind of the moment where we all saw it come together.
As you look at tomorrow, I'm curious, Toyota is still winless on the superspeedways in the next gen car, but Tyler and Christopher were both won the qualifying races at Daytona. How do you look at how Toyota is approaching the superspeedway races as you look at this weekend?
I don't know that we put a ton of emphasis on it. I think that the driver means a bit more than anything. I mean, the cars are so equal. So I wouldn't say that we put a ton of effort into it, honestly. We want to run well here. It pays the same amount of points that any other racetrack does, but a lot of it is just so circumstantial to the air that you've got and the line that you're in. So it's certainly not an off week for the team, but they probably shift a little bit of their mind and focus to the next true oval that we've got on the schedule.
You said that JGR spent $1 million in tires that weren't used that first year of the next gen car. Are there any other areas where teams might buy too much inventory that doesn't get used?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually probably due to the high tire allotment because they didn't know how many tires that we were going to burn, so they gave us a shit ton of tires and then we didn't use them, and then of course then we're kind of stuck with them at that point. So they've refined it a little bit more now, but we still leave the racetrack sometimes with 2 and 3 sets on heavy weekends, but other weekends we use them all. So it just it all balances itself out now. I would say that each team, that number is probably closer to like $100,000 or something now for each team.
Danny, you're the only driver who's led in every race this year. What have you noticed about your consistency in this season overall?
Well, we've been one of the fastest each and every week. I mean, they weren't accident laps that happened under caution or something like that. Like, we've legitimately led races, and so it's fun. It's, even though last week was a tough ending, me and Chris talk about it, it's just such a fun time to go to the racetrack, because every 7 days we can win, like legitimately win, and be one of the favorites to win. And so it is fun. It's a fun time in my career right now, especially the way things are going, and when I've got huge win numbers that I'm trying to get to in a season. When you're running the way we are, you've got those opportunities.
Jared Haas with Frontstretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those 2 videos out that we have right beside you. Visit Frontstretch.com for more great content.